Okay. Committee members, please take your seats. Due to the time allocation motion, we have very sharp timeline, so that's why I am going to continue with the final panel. Welcome all of you. So we will start with mental climate. Kathleen is joining us via a virtual means. So you have 7 minutes, and the time is yours now. Go ahead, identify yourself, and make your deputation. You are on mute. Can you hear me? You are on mute from your side.
It looks like she's having technical.
Okay, can we switch the presenters until we solve? Okay, we will come back to you. We will go to another deputy. The atmospheric fund, please go ahead. State your name.
Thank you, Chair Babican. My name's Evan Wiseman. I'm the Senior Climate Policy Manager at the Atmospheric Fund. We appreciate the opportunity to appear before you today. TAF is a regional environmental agency that advises, grants, invests in low-carbon solutions in the Greater Toronto-Hamilton area. We work with municipalities, the province, and the federal government to advance affordable climate equity outcomes. The grid is what we are here to talk to you today about. At TAF, we participate in all major electricity planning and regulatory processes to make our grid more affordable, lower carbon, and advance the lowest cost option for consumers. Bill 40 proposes adding the wording of economic growth to the mandates of the OEB and the ISO. And to be clear, we support this effort. Our recommendations are simple and use the government's own language from elsewhere in this legislation, with a goal to drive closer alignment between the OEB and the ISO to put consumers at the center of energy planning. In our experience, customers are often not the key priority of many system planning processes, which brings me to our first recommendation and the second recommendation that work in tandem by updating both the Electricity Act and the Ontario Energy Board Act with language that mirror and reflect each other in the two sections below. As you can see in our first recommendation, it's 2.1, and we recommend adding the language, which you will see in our next recommendation as well, in a manner that protects the interests of consumers to the OEB Act. And I just pause here to say as well, please remember that consistent with the policies of the government because it shows up again later. TAF supports clarifying the OEB's role in supporting economic growth, but this must not weaken its core mandate to protect ratepayers. Industrial competitiveness depends on affordable energy. Adding explicit consumer protection ensures decisions support growth without unnecessary cost increases and prioritizes the lowest cost-effective resources like energy efficiency, demand management, and compare new infrastructure and generations of lowest cost alternatives to avoid locking ratepayers into expensive options. Without this clarification, the economic growth clause could legitimize high-cost electricity choices, undermining affordability and competitiveness. The proposed amendment aligns the government's objectives while protecting consumers, which brings me to our next recommendation in the Electricity Act, which is under L1, to support economic growth in a manner that protects the interests of consumers, as you saw above, and is consistent with the policies of the government. So you can see how these recommendations mirror each other in both acts, aligning both the OEB and the ISO. TAF supports adding economic growth to the ISO's mandate, given the electricity's role in industrial development. However, growth and consumer protection must be rooted in cost-effective planning. Clarifying alignment within government policy ensures affordability, competitiveness, and reliability while remaining a priority. It also reinforces prioritizing lowest cost resources, such as demand response, energy efficiency, distributed energy, and emerging technologies, before committing to long lead supply options. TAF's amendment aligns the ISO decisions with economic affordability priorities while safeguarding consumers. This refinement preserves the legislative intent of the government and provides greater guidance to the IESO's integrated economic considerations into planning and operations. Together with Amendments 1 and 2, which align the OEB and the IESO, it helps put the two together to share a common goal. Without this alignment, Bill 40 risks creating unclear and conflicting direction. TAF participates in a number of processes, whether it's the IEP, IRRP, and this is why we bring these amendments up, is we have seen this not necessarily be the case in the processes over the last 18 months. This brings me to our third recommendation, which is separate from recommendations 1 and 2, and has to deal with the hydrogen section. This is the only amendment that we recommend just removing language, as it scopes this provision too narrowly. We recommend removing including purposes directly or indirectly connected to the electricity system or electricity sector, while introducing language which would allow the minister to broaden the scope of the hydrogen fund. The reason for this is simple. Not all hydrogen is equal. Most hydrogen in Ontario is grey, made from natural gas without carbon capture, and we should be replacing it with low-carbon hydrogen that is cost-effective, which is a cost-effective way to cut emissions. Green hydrogen's role is used to produce, its role can be produced from surplus renewable power, which is valuable, but it is limited and must be used strategically. Its highest impact cases are in steel and aluminum manufacturing, which are major job employers in Ontario and are hard to decarbonize sectors. Other sectors like aviation and marine shipping could also be included. The absolute lowest use of hydrogen is electricity storage, power generation, home heating, and personal vehicles. These have cheaper, more efficient alternatives. We recommend removing the restrictive lines in the section and broadening it and allowing the minister to scope it more broadly and to introduce more nimbleness in the use of this fund. There's a strategic, we make this recommendation with a strategic focus to prioritize heavy industry that strengthens Ontario's competitiveness, particularly against U.S. markets where grey hydrogen is tied to American natural gas. Directing limited green hydrogen to priority sectors ensures the highest economic and emissions impact per dollar invested.
1 minute.
I'm done. Thank you.
That's great. Now, Kathleen, you ready? Can you hear me?
I am. I apologize. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Great. Hi. I wanted to thank the committee for the time today and also just show appreciation for this government's leadership in linking energy policy with economic development under this bill. I am here specifically to speak about the data center, the digital infrastructure aspects of this bill. And we at Mantle Climate are an Ontario-based climate and sustainability firm with a deep focus on the built environment. We work very closely with developers of all stripes, and in particular, data center developer and operators. We work with several across North America, and I, leading our data center practice for our company, also am involved in several working groups that have a global, certainly North American, but kind of global focus, and have for years on decarbonizing digital infrastructure, making it more resilient and sustainable, and making sure that the digital infrastructure industry is driving innovation in this space. I should also note that Mantle, in partnership with Mars, the IESO, Ontario Power Generation, Hydro One, Toronto Hydro, and Enbridge are in the midst of a year-long project in which we are looking at what the impacts of a 1.5 gigawatt and a 3 gigawatt build out of data centers over the next 10 years, how that could impact the energy system. And so we are in the midst of that project, which has been very enlightening. And really our goal here, we're not for or against data centers. We just want to make sure that every megawatt connected contributes to Ontario's prosperity and grid stability, and would also like to, support TAF's, the Atmospheric Fund statement of affordability as well. And we think there are lots of great ways that that can be done through Bill 40. This is really about making sure that Ontario tracks the right kinds of data centers, those that use electricity and water efficiently. They support grid reliability, create local value, and strengthen our digital and economic resilience. We think that the government's integrated energy plan's pillars of affordability, reliability, security, and clean competitiveness, which should guide this implementation, and that the digital infrastructure space, data centers in particular, can support these goals if we encourage efficient, flexible, and resilient infrastructure, not just fast-growing load. It should be noted that we work across real estate and data center. Our data center, the folks in the data center space tend to be some of the most progressive when it comes to achieving better climate and resilience outcomes, and have been for years, as is evidenced by examples of low carbon design and construction, as well as renewable energy procurement, and the list goes on. Our recommendations are really centered around the two key pieces of efficiency and flexibility. So really rewarding projects that are designed for both energy and water efficiency to begin with. Flexibility, so that during times that the grid is most stressed, they can reduce their burden on the grid, thereby getting more for every megawatt that this grid has available. And also those that prioritize low carbon design and construction, preferably with low carbon materials from Ontario supply chains, whether that be green steel, low carbon concrete. There are many options and many reasons that we think that this is very achievable. We just want to make sure that we think that Bill 40 offers the opportunity for Ontario to communicate to its communities that the province will hold data centers, developers and operators responsible for their impact on our communities and on our grid. We think it aligns with Ontario's industrial strategy and Build Ontario vision. And we hope that if done well, it will provide predictable, transparent timelines that encourage investment. Really, in closing, we think Bill 40 can enable Ontario, if done well, to become a global leader in efficient digital infrastructure. We think that there is a wonderful opportunity to combine the motivation that data centers have with their history of energy and climate innovation to deliver good projects that kind of catalyze energy innovation that we need for our growing energy needs across the sector beyond just digital infrastructure. Bill 40's success will depend on clear evidence-based standards that direct scarce capacity to the highest value projects. And we are here and ready to contribute technical expertise, data, collaboration, results from our partnership, the project we're doing with Mars, et cetera, to support the ministry, the ISO, and this committee as it moves forward. And that's what we were here to talk about. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Catherine. Now we move to our third panelist, Enwave Energy Corporation. Please state your name and title.
Thank you, Chair. Hello, my name is Catherine Sparks, and I'm the Vice President of Grid Solutions with Enwave Energy Corporation. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today about Bill 40. Bill 40 is fundamentally about ensuring Ontario can connect new homes, businesses, and large loads like data centers quickly and reliably. District Energy is already enabling these outcomes today by reducing demand on Ontario's electricity grid and providing a more efficient approach to electrification. I want to thank the Government of Ontario for recognizing in the Integrated Energy Plan released in June the role that Ontario's district energy systems can play in supporting the reliability, affordability, and sustainability of Ontario's electricity supply. Bill 40 lays the foundation to realize the value of expanded district energy in Ontario per the goal set by the government with the Integrated Energy Plan. Enwave and our shareholders, Ontario Teachers Pension Plan, and IFM investors are proud to be one of North America's largest and most innovative operators of community-based district energy. For those unfamiliar with district energy, conventional heating and cooling typically involves standalone in-building electric chillers and natural gas boilers, while district energy uses centralized plants to deliver thermal energy to connected buildings through underground pipes. District energy provides many benefits. It frees up space in connected buildings for more housing or employment uses. It frees up the capital of building owners otherwise needed for traditional in-building systems to be invested in core businesses and economic development. It results in the easier integration of new technologies in a central plant versus retrofitting individual buildings, and the ability to operate district energy systems to respond to electricity system needs benefits electricity ratepayers and thermal energy customers. In alignment with Bill 40, Enwave is working with local distribution companies to realize district energy as a more efficient approach to electrification, freeing up room on our grid to connect more housing and job-creating loads and creating value for all Ontario electricity ratepayers and thermal energy customers. Enwave leverages clean heating, cooling, and power technologies, including the world's largest deep lake water cooling system, large-scale ground source systems, biomass, and energy from waste, and our first-of-its-kind large-scale thermal battery under the well development here in Toronto. Enwave owns and operates district energy systems in downtown Toronto with over 200 connected customers, Etobicoke, Mississauga, Windsor, Markham, London, and Charlottetown, PEI. Ontario's many district energy systems have diverse owners, municipalities like Markham, Hamilton, and Oshawa, universities, hospitals, and investor-owned utilities like Enwave. Enwave and Ontario's other district energy owners, together with our customers, are ready to support a more efficient approach to electrification, one that leverages existing district energy infrastructure and new large-scale investments by our owners to support the reliability, cost-effectiveness, and sustainability of Ontario's electricity system. There are 3 key points I want to make for the committee today, critical to unlocking the full value of district energy to support a reliable, cost-effective, sustainable electricity system and energy supply for all Ontarians. Firstly, for Bill 40 to fully achieve its objectives, we need appropriate long-term electricity system contracts that recognize the electricity system benefits of the large-scale investments district energy owners are seeking to make in electrifying and decarbonizing Ontario's district energy systems. We welcomed the Minister of Energy and Mines' direction to the IESO in June to identify opportunities in policies, programs, and procurements to expand district energy in Ontario. We look forward to working with the government, the IESO, the district energy community, and our customers, including Calac, Fairview, Oxford, Brookfield, and Kingset, who have all provided letters of support to develop long-term electricity system contracts that fairly share costs and benefits between electricity and thermal energy ratepayers. My second point, district energy can make more efficient use of existing and new electricity system infrastructure to enable more new loads to connect, including more housing and job-creating loads. Through Bill 40 and the Integrated Energy Plan, the government is putting in place planning and connection rules to manage rapid load growth. District energy can be a practical tool to achieve those objectives at the ground level. For example, where a data center connects to Enwave system in downtown Toronto, we capture its waste heat and reuse it to heat other buildings, offsetting electricity and natural gas those buildings would otherwise need and reducing grid impacts. Enwave recommends that if the government establishes connection requirements for data center under Bill 40, exemptions apply for those connected to district energy with waste heat reuse, and these projects receive expedited connections to recognize the electricity system value of their district energy connections. My final point, district energy can provide certainty regarding the pace and location of electrification. While electricity demand will grow significantly in Ontario over the next decades, in large part due to building heat electrification, we do not know when or where individual buildings will electrify. In addition to reducing overall electricity demand associated with building heat electrification of district energy systems can provide certainty on where and when building heat electrification will happen, enabling more efficient electricity infrastructure planning and greater reliability and cost effectiveness for all ratepayers. In summary, Ontario's existing district energy systems currently serve a building heating load equivalent to about 2,500 megawatts of peak electricity demand, similar to the capacity of Pickering Nuclear Station. If all connected buildings electrify by traditional standalone approaches, they would be unlikely to reduce demand in response to electricity system needs, requiring significant additional electricity infrastructure. Alternatively, Ontario's district energy systems can electrify in a way that significantly reduces peak electricity demand and overall consumption compared to standalone electrification. Bill 40 provides an opportunity for Ontario to realize the value of district energy to provide a more reliable, cost-effective approach to electrification, make more efficient use of electricity infrastructure to connect more housing and job-creating loads, and unlock investment in secure local energy solutions and associated jobs. Enwave looks forward to working with the government, our customers, other district energy owners, and communities to realize the potential of district energy that Bill 40 can help to unlock. Thank you.
Thank you. We move to the first round of questioning. We will start with the government side. MPP Gallagher Murphy.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Kathleen, Evan, and Catherine for being here this afternoon. And my question is going to be for Evan. I'm not familiar with the Atmospheric Fund. It's the first I'm learning about you, so my apologies. So a couple of questions for you. As you know, or maybe this is my question to you, nuclear energy is really a source that powers our grid with clean energy and supports approximately 80,000 really good Ontario jobs. So I'm curious, not knowing much about atmospheric fund, do you support emissions-free nuclear energy?
Yeah.
That's my first question.
Oh, thank you. And through the chair. So TAF is a regional environmental agency. So the quick version of us is we operate off of an endowment model. We used to be part of the City of Toronto. We became an arm's length organization off of a one-time endowment from the city. We then received an endowment from the province, circa 2016, I believe it was, and then the federal government. And so we have about $90 million in our endowment. We receive no ongoing funding. We have a grants team as well as a policy team, which I'm a part of. But we also operate an investment team, which operates in the market that helps to de-risk investments, not dissimilar from the Build Ontario Fund, actually. In fact, I learned more about them the other day. It turns out we're very similar cousins, actually, both made by provincial statute. So what we do is we try to invest in and scale solutions and then exit once they are up and running and private capital is more willing to take the place. So we try to bring in and crowd in the funding from TD and whatnot. We work with developers, Mantle, Tridel, Minto, and whatnot to create financial assets that help to move our economy forward, grow Ontarian jobs, but also promote efficiency, cleaner air, and lower carbon emissions. Yeah. So that's who we are, and so we support the lowest cost to consumers. That is also the lowest carbon, okay. And so we do support into an extent nuclear energy. I grew up in Ajax, so I grew up down the street from Pickering. Okay. I have friends and family that worked at Pickering and Darlington. The key, though, where we are, I think, in 2025, the key point is there are new technologies that are incredibly low cost that can be deployed quickly that can displace American natural gas systems, which would be a net benefit to both ratepayers and strategically to Ontario's energy needs.
Okay. That's great. So now I've got a follow-up question for you. So thank you very much for that, those details. So you're probably aware of this, that Ontario is responsible for 2/3 of Canada's total emissions reductions. And we actually continue to lead the world today in nuclear, which is our largest source of clean emissions-free electricity. And we are on track for a grid that is more than 99% emissions-free by 2050. Now, this is all without raising taxes. We're very happy about that, or jeopardizing the reliability, which we're very proud of. So now we keep investing in refurbishing our entire nuclear fleet. I'm sure you see that. So your organization, I've come to learn, released a report that supports the contrary to that. So I'm wondering if maybe you could just elaborate on that.
Certainly. So today we released our carbon emissions inventory. Somewhat, we had it scheduled before the session today, so it's coincidental. But there has been an emissions increase in our electricity grid. Emissions have gone up despite great efforts by people buying electric vehicles, committing to retrofits, adopting heat pumps and moving off of natural gas systems, also moving off of heavy-duty heating oil and propane in more rural areas, and especially. But the key point is due to the refurbishment and procurement of SMRs, which are coming online, the emissions profile in Ontario is now worse than it was prior to the coal phase-out. We continue to drop. There's been a 28% increase in the use of natural gas for the purposes of electricity. And then the majority of that gas comes from the U.S., from Ohio and Pennsylvania. We don't really have a lot of domestic natural gas in Ontario. And so our chief concern around the emissions profile increases is that it's really stealing the thunder of a lot of the really great hard work that is being done through programs like peak perks at the ISO or the government's contribution to the demand-side management budget, totaling around $10 billion. we have notes on how to spend some of that. But the key point there is we really want to emphasize the importance of energy efficiency and the use of that to help lower the use of natural gas, which is slated to continue to increase. And then in a worst case scenario, if the SMRs or refurbishments are delayed, right now the ISO generally is just planning to make up that difference through the use of natural gas, which we are very concerned about because that is very expensive.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that elaboration, and sorry there's a lot of movement. There's a bill going on right now. Anyway, thank you very much. And Chair?
The government side has only 26 seconds.
Oh.
Okay. So what we are going to do, we're going to finish the first round of questioning, and after that we will take a recess for the vote. So MPP West, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I was going to ask what the process was for the bills going off. So I want to thank all of you for coming. It's late in the day, and there's a lot of noise in the background, and I think they're setting something up upstairs. You can hear the rolling around, so thank you as well. Evan, I'm going to start with TAF. I haven't heard of the organization as well, so I learned a lot. You were talking about the reliance on natural gas and how we've increased that sort of reliance coming on, and I have similar concerns with that. And I've been promised by the minister this is because of the refurbishments, but also in this bill, I've heard a little bit about, during the debate on this bill, I heard a little bit about hydrogen storage from natural gas as well, and so it gives me concern that we're finding new reasons to invest in natural gas. I believe what you said is that overall use is dropping and people are switching to other forms. I may be confusing different people who spoke today.
Yeah, use of natural gas for the purposes of home heating has decreased due to the good work in retrofits and efficiency related to that. Just quickly, I would say if you're using natural gas to create hydrogen, it's like charging a battery with a battery. Just use the battery.
Okay. Okay, I appreciate that. And you talked about creating low carbon solutions. I think Toronto Hamilton area is your footprint. Yep. What are some of the recommendations, or maybe a different way of saying is what are we doing well in Ontario? What things would you recommend that we do in terms of bringing down the prices of electricity? Because we're subsidizing the price. The price went up 30%, just shy of 30%, 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah, the key point, I think, is we always say the cheapest kilowatt hour is the one you don't use, and that's where efficiency really comes into play. There's a lot of great, and not to steal the thunder from Enwave or Mantle, because they do a lot of incredible work, and we're really glad to partner with them in the past. The key points is the energy efficiency component. Again, we say that we have concerns around the ISO, which is the root of our recommendations to more center consumer-oriented services, because there are great programs that the ISO runs, such as Peak Perks. It's a demand-side management program that works with smart thermostats in residential homes, where you sign up, you get a gift card, and then an ongoing one every 4 months, I believe. Right. And basically, the ISO uses that to turn your temperature down if there's a peak that's being created by 2 degrees maximum, and you can always turn it back up. You can also stop the program at any time. And this has had an incredible effect of reducing hundreds of megawatts of usage for with incredibly inexpensive way of going about it. So part of our concern is definitely ongoing procurements and just trying to meet demand with supply, and then not focusing enough on efficiency. And the government has done a great job on the DSM budget, but there's a lot more work that could be done.
Okay. And then some of your recommendations were about adding language that protects the consumers, and I don't think anyone's brought this up before. A lot of the focus has been on data centers are going to want to come to Ontario. We have, cool climate, we have water supplies, we need to get the energy for them. But I think that, one of the reasons that the previous government fell, for example, was the high cost of hydro, right? There was heat and eat was one of the refrains when I was elected in 2018. And if we don't take care of the cost for the consumer, one, it's not the right thing to do. But two, you could lead to the fall of the government. What recommendations would you have to ensure that the consumer is prioritized in this bill?
I think the key point is procuring the lowest cost option electricity is the main priority we have. Right now, the ISO doesn't have new non-emitting resources coming onto the grid after 2035, which is a concern for us. They are in the midst of a procurement realms right now, but that leads into 2035, and so their system planning needs to then extend beyond that. So that is partially our concern. Is you have solar developers trying to make their own capital plans that they're having a hard time with that. But it really does come down to both efficiency and demand side management, as well as procuring the lowest cost option, again, to displace the more expensive fossil fuel options such as natural gas. And then also to the point that was earlier made for the question to AMO around having additional capacity in case of new developments coming online. Similarly, with the refurbishments and the coming online of the SMRs, we are assuming that they will be finished on time. And so there is a bit of a lack of a backup plan beyond natural gas, which that will hike rates.
So what I've heard, I'm new on the energy file, so what I've heard from different stakeholders and different groups is that the mix is a variety of different sources, right? It's nuclear can do a base load, but it can't do peaks and all these different things. But my experience, I think, over the last 7-8 years that I've been here is that the only thing we've invested in is nuclear and gas. Am I accurate in that?
The ISO is procuring solar and non-emitting and battery electric storage systems as they've come online, and the technology has evolved quickly.
1 minute.
And so it's been great to see. But we have not seen in that procurement a fairness to systems, I would say. The point systems are definitely weighted towards gas compared to solar and storage, which is a cheaper option even when you have to combine both together. So and again, this gas is sourced primarily from the United States.
Okay. Thank you. I think I got 15 seconds or something.
Thank you. We'll move to the third party, MPP McMahon.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me back here at your committee. And thank you to our speakers for taking the time and coming in today and sharing your wisdom and experience with us. And Evan, TAF, Evan, know very well from back at City Hall days. I loved what you said. The cheapest kilowatt hour is the one you do not use. And so do you think we should be promoting, investing, and educating people on conservation? And what would that look like to you? What would your advice be to the government and us?
We've made this recommendation in the past. The government's stated goal of 1.5 million new homes, we absolutely support that. We would also recommend having each of those homes installed with a smart thermostat that's enrolled in peak perks just off the bat. It's a great program. The ISO has really done a great job in designing it, and that program should be in every single home possible in Ontario because it will absolutely reduce the demand on the system and hopefully create enough supply excess that we can also meet some of our emerging electrification needs. So that would be, if I had to make one recommendation that you could do going forward, it would be that.
All right. And do you think that we're doing a good enough job with communication to Ontarians on the need to conserve and the benefits of conservation?
I think I have had this conversation with federal counterparts where they have thought of efficiency as wearing a sweater in winter and turning your thermostat down. And that's just not the case anymore. And so I think the technology that is out there now, whether it's Enwave and the smart thermostats into the system through demand response that can be integrated through the ISO and the utilities, these are incredible space-age technological leaps that have been created in the last few years. And it doesn't reflect what we thought of as efficiency in the past was, just change your light bulbs. That's not the case anymore. It's the equivalent of a horse to a car. Yes, they're both modes of transportation, but it's incredibly different technology.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'll ask, let's see, sorry, I didn't get your name. From Enwave? What was your name? Okay, Kat, then I'll ask you the same question about conservation. What can we be doing more on that? If you have any ideas or...
We do. I mean, I think, one of the things that we put forward as an opportunity is with regards to Bill 40 and the development of rules around connections to the electricity system. We know from our commercial experience connecting buildings to our system that district energy systems across Ontario, and there are dozens and dozens of systems all across Ontario, who are planning to electrify, and we can electrify in a way that is more electricity efficient than if the customers connected to those buildings were to electrify through standalone in-building solutions. So if district energy owners across Ontario electrify, we can do so in a way that's peak shaving, so we can shift to our existing backup systems. We can shift to new large-scale thermal storage, like the thermal storage that Enwave has at the well just down the street from here. We can also use heat recovery heat pumps, like the new ones we commissioned just a few weeks ago at our Pearl Street Green Heat Plant here in Toronto, to take waste heat from data centers and other buildings and use that waste heat to offset electricity or natural gas otherwise needed by other buildings, so providing a renewable source of heat. And we can do this cost effectively. And so that's really a significant, very large-scale electricity efficiency opportunity that we see.
Awesome. I feel like there should be maybe field trips for members of provincial parliament to come down and see those sites. I'm sure my colleagues across would be keen to do that, and we would as well.
We were very pleased to have Associate Minister Osterhoff at our Pearl Street Green Heat Plant commissioning, and we would welcome the opportunity to bring anyone down to one of our plants. So please follow up with that. Yeah.
We will take you up on that. Thank you so much. And then over to Mantle Energy. Same question.
Has to unmute me.
Sorry?
Oh, I've been unmuted. Okay, good.
Okay.
I think it's very difficult to improve on those two answers. But at the end of the day, it's really about getting more use out of the assets that have already been built. Through things like flexibility and just general conservation. From a data center perspective, that very much looks like building from the beginning to make cooling use of, so the way you measure efficiency in data centers is called power usage effectiveness. And that's a measure of how much of the energy that's going to a data center is actually being used by the computers themselves, not by the overhead uses of cooling these servers. And so Ontario does have,
1 minute,
compared to much of the rest of the world, has cooler climate. And so basically designing to be able to use that cool air when necessary. And then for some of these new advanced data centers that are being built, they're very, very high density of power needs. So small space, a lot of power. A lot of folks are turning to using water to cool that. So making sure that you're using a closed loop liquid system so that you're not wasting Ontario water to cool these systems. But getting a high degree of cooling for a low power usage. And the benefit of that then, of course, too, is, as Catherine would attest to, you then have open yourself up for being able to do more district heating, more waste heat recovery, which is wonderful. But really just making sure that you get more out of what's already been built.
All right, thank you very much. Music to my ears all around.
Okay, thank you very much. Dear colleagues and witnesses, due to the emergency vote situation, we have to go back to the chamber for the vote. But due to the time allocation motion in regard to this session must end by 6 o'clock sharp. So I am not sure if we will be able to be back on time to continue the second round of questions and answers. Therefore, if we finish before 6 o'clock, we will come back to finish whatever we can. If we are not finished, the vote didn't finish at 6, in that case, the clerk will adjourn the meeting. So once again, my apology to the witnesses for the unforeseen circumstances, and hopefully we will see you at 6 o'clock or in another opportunity. Thank you. Okay, we're back. We have 4 minutes left. Oh, okay. Sorry, we have to wait to have one more member because we need a quorum. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 minutes left for the government side, so it is your turn. Who's MPP Kazato?
Thank you, Chair, and I want to thank all the presenters that are here today. I want to ask Catherine from Enwave. As you know, there's a big project happening in my riding of Mississauga Lakeshore at the at Lakeview Development there. It's one of probably the largest Enwave projects in the province or in the country.
Yeah, okay.
But has the current U.S. global political climate and tariffs had an impact on your daily operations?
Thank you for the question. So, our supply chain team has been closely following developments with the tariff situation, and we work to ensure that we have contingencies put in place for any potential impacts on our infrastructure development. To date, I am not aware of any implications for the development of the Lakeview site, but that's something I can take back and confirm.
Okay. And do you believe that Bill 40 aligns with your company like Enwave?
So we believe that Bill 40 provides opportunities to expand district energy in Ontario and to fully recognize the electricity system value. The things that I talked about earlier in terms of a more efficient approach to electrification, recognizing that we can leverage waste heat from district energy or from data centers rather to offset electricity demand and natural gas use by other customers. Those are great opportunities that can be enabled by Bill 40.
How much time?
The time is up. 6 o'clock, and that's it for this session, this panel, and the rest of the hearing today. So thank you very much, all of you, for coming. And once again, my apology for the circumstances. You have experienced our democracy in action. So thank you very much for all of you. So thank you all, the presenters also. This concludes public hearing on Bill 40. The committee is now adjourned until 9 a.m. on Monday, November 24th. Thank you.